Graz, will Caleb Williams lead the Bears to the playoffs this year?
I'm going to say yes. I'm optimistic on Caleb Williams and the Bears. Remember, this is a team that got to 7 wins last year in what looked like a lost season by playing as well over the second half of the season as any team in the league. They add Caleb Williams. The conversations I'm having there, I think they're extremely happy and optimistic based on what they've seen from Caleb Williams this spring, the way he's picked up the offense. If that continues through training camp, I think he's got a chance to play really well right out of the gate.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, listen, I love what the Bears have done this offseason. I'm going to say they're going to miss it. I like 2 other teams in the division, the Lions and the Packers. But listen, I think the biggest question I have with the Bears, can they carry over what they did on defense last year? We know that over their last 8 games, they had the #1 scoring defense. Mm-hmm. Can they continue this in 2024 is my big question.
But the big thing is this. It's not necessarily about how good the Bears will be. It's knowing that you have the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions in your division. Mm-hmm. This puts them in that place that the Pittsburgh Steelers are normally in, where there's 2 big-time teams in the division, and they're hovering around 500. So it does make you wonder, can they take the next step with all that Ryan Poles has done in this offseason? D. Wood, let's go down to Philadelphia. Do you believe that Saquon Barkley makes them the biggest threat to the 49ers?
I think he's a piece, but I think more so, RC, is the coordinators. I think Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio is going to be a big determining factor in how well the Philadelphia Eagles do this year. We know about what happened with Jalen Hurts last year against the Blitz, how the Blitz really affected him. Can Kellen Moore give him more answers to the test to be able to combat that? Because we know that teams are going to test him early on.
Graz, is it as simple as getting Saquon the ball and letting him rock with all the issues the Eagles had last year?
No, I don't think so, because I don't think we've seen that from Saquon Barkley other than his rookie year. He's played 6 years in the NFL. He's missed games due to injury in all but 2 of those. He's been to the playoffs once. Like, I understand the circumstances in New York were not good, were not positive, were not helpful, but RC, about 10 minutes ago, I heard you ask, why should we believe Paul George can push a team over the top? I would ask the same thing about Saquon Barkley. Like, what have we seen from him in his NFL career that says he's a difference maker? I mean, DeAndre Swift had a good year for the Eagles last year. He's 2 years younger, cheaper. I think Saquon Barkley could play well for the Eagles. I don't see him as the missing piece that vaults them over the top.
And that's my big thing as well. It's not even about Saquon Barkley, but D. Wood, you mentioned Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. Kellen Moore is on his 3rd team in 3 years, going from Dallas to Los Angeles and now Philadelphia. Vic Fangio was with Miami, and now he's here in Philadelphia. D. Wood, do you believe that these coordinators do have what it takes to get them back to the Super Bowl?
I believe so. I think that, you look at the body of work with Kellen Moore and what he did with the Dallas Cowboys, what he did with the Los Angeles Chargers, and listen, the Chargers situation, after what was a different situation with the head coach. But I think that he'll be able to provide, Kellen Moore I'm talking about, will be able to provide Jalen Hurts with a lot of answers to the test, because clearly when you watch this Philadelphia team on offense last year, they were very ordinary, very stagnant. They didn't have a lot of answers as far as what teams were doing as far as throwing things at them. I think Kellen Moore will be able to provide some of that for this Philadelphia Eagles offense.
Well, I guess Dallas's trash is Philadelphia's treasure. What are you hearing, Dan, out of Dallas about Dak Prescott's contract?
Well, nothing. And I think that's the big story, right? They have had conversations throughout the offseason. And by they, I mean, like, Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott have had conversations about, like, hey, wouldn't it be great to get this done ahead of the season? But I don't get the sense that the Cowboys have had serious conversations with the agent about a new deal. And when you look at Dak Prescott's situation, he has every bit of the leverage. He can wait for the Cowboys to come to him with the deal he wants. His worst-case scenario is play out the season and hit free agency as a qualified top-end starting quarterback in his prime. That is something that you don't see very often, and it is something that will be very, very lucrative if he and the Cowboys cannot reach agreement on a new contract before then.
Well, speaking to that, let's take a listen to what Adam Schefter said about Dak's underrated value.
When do we ever see a quarterback that good ever become a true unrestricted free agent, is you could just imagine the places that Dak Prescott could and would fit in. To me, he's in line to become the first $60+ million quarterback a year.
Dak, we have a lame duck coach. We got a lame duck quarterback. Are Dak and Mike McCarthy's jobs on the line this year?
Who's that? Is that for me?
Yeah.
Oh, you talking to me?
Okay.
Listen, RC. I'm gonna pull from Kendrick Lamar with as far as Dak. We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right. Like Dak Prescott don't have anything to worry about here. I mean, Schefter already referenced it. The fact that he has an opportunity to do something that's rare in the National Football League, to be an unrestricted free agent. I think if Dak goes out there and he doesn't play his best ball, he's still going to be a coveted quarterback in free agency because of the lack of quarterbacks in this league. Now, Mike McCarthy, on the other hand, let me tell you something. Man, that boy hotter than hot fish grease right now as far as his seat is concerned. He needs to go out there. Dallas Cowboys got to at least get to an NFC Championship game. I mean, we've been talking about this thing now for years as far as the Dallas Cowboys are concerned. They've been to the divisional round. At least get to the championship game. Can you please do that?
What would success be considered for the Dallas Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I think D. Wood's right. I mean, conference championship game, you say it's been years. It's been 30 years. Like, that's not just a handful of years. That's an incredible drought for the Dallas Cowboys. So if they were to get that far, I think you would think ownership would have to consider that a successful season. But yeah, even just advancing in the playoffs, just show up for the playoffs and play your best, right? I mean, like, that's what they failed to do last year after maybe Dak's best season. So, yeah, I think jobs on the line. I think if it were to bottom out and they miss the playoffs, yeah, I could see wholesale changes there, including at quarterback. I could see them saying, look, it's been 9 years with the same guy. We haven't gone anywhere. He's about to get crazy expensive. Let's look at other options. Cowboys aren't looking at it that way. I think they expect to be good. But if they were to have a bad year, if Dak doesn't play the way he did last year, or if they struggle to make the playoffs, I would think that there's a possibility of major changes, yes.
But that's the scary thing to me. We have seen Dak play extremely well during the regular season, and we've seen Kirk Cousins get on the market and get the bag. We saw Trevor Lawrence, who fell flat last season, get the bag, and now they're talking about Tua Tagovailoa. If I'm Jerry Jones, I'm absolutely nervous that Dak Prescott does the same thing and does demand $60 million. If you had to take a guess right now, Graz, is this Dak Prescott's last year in Dallas?
I'm still saying no. I still think they eventually get something done just because, I mean, I think Jerry Jones is willing to pay top of the market for his quarterback, and we've seen for other positions as well. It just sometimes takes them a while to get there, and I think it could be the case this time. Even if they don't get a deal done by the end of the season, the Cowboys will still have the first crack at signing him before free agency, although they would tell you that gets dicey because by then, you know, RC, D. Wood, sometimes, you know, these players have a way of hearing maybe what other teams have in mind, even though they're not supposed to.
Just every now and then, there are some conversations that take place that aren't particularly about the players, but they are particularly about the player.